Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and we've got an exciting presentation for you today. My guest today, speaking at Digital Dealer, Tampa, Florida, May 10th, 10 a.m., Erikka Tiffani Wells. Hi.
Hey, Jim, I am so glad to be here, and I love the way you pronounce my middle name. It sounds so esteemed, Tiffani.
Well, Tiffani, I saw that and I saw some things that said Erikka Tiffani, and then I saw other things that said Erikka Tiffani Wells. I said, well, Tiffani's her Hollywood stage name.
Sounds so rich. I'll tell you a funny story. I was actually named after Zsa Zsa Gabor in an episode of Gilligan's Island. Her name was Erikka Tiffany, and my maiden name was Smith, and that's exactly my name. Erikka Tiffany Smith is my maiden name.
Okay, so should I say it Tiffany or should I stick
It's
with
actually Tiffany. I
Tiffany?
like Tiffani from now on. This sounds more
I
Tiffani.
love it. I love it.
I'm gonna tell people you named me.
Now, now you are the sales manager at Volkswagen of Marion, Illinois.
Yes, been here about 6 months now. I relocated. I'm absolutely loving it.
You came from my turf down in Atlanta.
Atlanta's a beautiful city, super competitive, different speed. It was nice to kind of come out here where things are a little bit slower. Dealerships close at 6 o'clock. We're not open on
Oh
Sunday.
no, 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 no.
Yes,
Really?
when I say a different pace, I mean we were halfway through the day at 6 o'clock in Atlanta.
Oh my gosh, I have seen the sunrise when I was sitting in the F&I seat.
Too many times to count, right?
Oh, I could tell you some stories. Oh, did you work for a dealership here?
In Atlanta, yeah, yeah. So I had a Nissan dealership I worked at. I worked at for the Gemellis organization for a while, 7 years with Ellis, and then I worked at a Buy Here Pay Here before that. Pars Cars. That's how I got my
Oh
start.
my gosh. Well, I gotta tell you, if you worked at a buy here pay, and then you got some quality training with Jim Ellis.
Oh, exactly. Can you imagine? That was night and day. Buy Here Pay Here taught me the subprime. Really taught me about customers and patience, and credit and how that worked. And then to go into Highline right after that. So I went from a Buy Here Pay Here to an Audi dealership and worked Highline.
Oh
So
my gosh. I bought my one of my cars from Audi of Marietta. Was that where you were?
it was my store.
Yeah, I bought a Q7 there. Yeah,
No way.
three
I might have
years
told it to you. I was there for 7 years.
3 years ago. No, I don't
Oh,
remember
3 years
you.
ago.
Yeah,
I might have
no,
just missed you then. Yeah. I
no.
had
The guy was a had a Middle Eastern name. I forget his name.
Ahmed. Ahmed
Yeah,
Eagle.
Ahmed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's one of
yeah.
the best.
Nice guy. Yeah.
He's one of
So
the
yeah,
best.
amazing, amazing. How did you end up in Marion, Illinois?
I was recruited. Ashley Church, she's my general manager. She found me on Facebook, got in my DMs. The power of social media. It just changes the perspective. People can find, people anywhere. And she started reaching out to me saying, would you ever consider coming to Southern Illinois? And I told her, heck no. But
Oh,
L's in that word. I'm like, I'm not coming to Southern Illinois. It's cold. It's in the middle of a cornfield. I'm not interested. But she started talking a language to me that really made a difference, which was about work-life balance. When you've been in this business for a long time and you get burnt out, and you haven't had freedom for your family, you haven't had that time off. And I have 4 children. I said, you know what? Let me see what this looks like. What does it look like to get off at 6 o'clock on a weekday and 5 o'clock on a Saturday? What does it look like to have Sundays off? I can't remember the last time I
oh,
had a Sunday off. And she, just really catered to the family. She's like, I understand you have kids. I understand you have a family. You want to go to your son's football game. We make time for that here. And she started talking about some of the flexibility things, and it was right after the pandemic. I said, you know what? Let's go. And 6 months of recruiting, I ended up here August 1st, and I've been here ever since.
you packed up the kids and went, oh my gosh. So you're off at 6 o'clock. You're working, and Volkswagen is an entirely different culture, even than Audi, because you had the Highline customers.
Absolutely. Volkswagen, I love that it's the same program. So I'm very familiar with their rebates and incentives and how they do business. But you're absolutely right. The clientele is completely different. There's a different kind of loyalty. Audi customers were loyal to the idea of luxury, but they would, leave for BMW or Porsche or anything in a minute. Where Volkswagen has this hearty loyalty. These customers are repeat. They've been with the Volkswagen brand for a long time. They appreciate the longevity, the German engineering of the vehicles. So I appreciate, this customer base, but you're gonna have to show them some value, because these are customers who can afford an Audi but chose a Volkswagen, right? They have the
Yes.
money, they have the credit, they have the ability to buy. They're still spending a lot of money on a vehicle. They're not going to get a Kia or a Hyundai. They want a Volkswagen, but they also want to understand value for my dollar.
They're not your typical buy here, pay here people.
Definitely not.
No. So anyway, you're going to be speaking at Digital Dealer. Is this your first time on stage with the DD?
This is my first time on stage, so I am nervous. So I am just going to, do my best and leave it to the experts like you on the main stage to give me all the warm ups so I can go in there and kill it.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, I'm on the main stage. I'm doing a main stage presentation. Please come. Anyway, that's enough about me.
I was happy to see your name up there, right? Bring a little spice.
Were you in sales management when you were in Atlanta?
I did. So I started off as an internet manager at Audi. I developed the very first BDC for Audi Marietta. We piloted their sales and service BDC at that store. We were also at the turning point of building a new location. So we had to operate out of trailers. So can you imagine taking an Audi store, turning it into 3 trailers, like trailers,
I
and
remember when that happened.
yep, and
Remember,
running.
I remember I got one of my cars from Audi Marietta.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you
So
remember that? Yeah, I remember that was the
you have to
time.
run a sales and service department out of a trailer for a luxury buyer. The BDC was a huge component in keeping customers happy. They didn't know where to find us. We had been at that location forever, so they didn't know how to find us. Our store had moved, and there was frustrations there.
So the BDC was all important.
It was so important, and we built it
And
from
you
scratch.
worked with a good friend of mine that used to work for me twice. When I was a manager in Atlanta in the 80s, I was a manager at the Potemkin stores. I was over several of them. And as a manager at the Potemkin stores, I had a used car manager, our Chrysler store, Billy Atkinson.
Oh yes,
You
wow.
know, you know. So then when I started my own company, Billy worked for me for years. So you know Billy, and he worked with you in the BDC, I would think.
Wow, yeah. Man, it takes me so back. I mean, there's so many good people came out of that store and out of that
Yeah,
location and that are doing
great
amazing
people.
things. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, so we have a lot in common. So
We do, right?
you're going to be speaking about a subject that on the surface is a big yawn, but
I'm so
it's,
glad you said it. Because
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
say it. You know, look at the title of this thing: profits from POs and closed ROs. Okay, wake me up when it's over. But guess what? Developing business. Wait a second. Now the second line sort of got my interest. Developing business in the service lane with or without a BDC. Now, don't do your whole presentation right now, Erica. But how do you do that?
here's the thing, there are so many touch points in service that we miss, right? We expect our service advisor to be the end all be all, everything in the dealership. Now, here it is, service is the main profit center. We already know that, right? So, why is it that we allow service to have the least amount of training, sometimes the least amount of support to do one of the most important jobs? When you
Look down on second class department. I mean, my God, the most profitable department. And I'm going to say something to you that I know you already know, and I want to say for the audience. Over 50% of the people in most service departments did not buy their car from the dealer where they're being serviced.
Yep.
Your biggest source of conquest, brand new customers, are in the service department.
Jim, to your point, who talks to more of our repeat customers than anybody else? The service advisor. Who's more in charge of retention and customer service index? The service advisor. Who's going to keep the customer coming back after that first visit? The service advisor. So if you think about a customer buys a car, they might hear from the salesperson twice, right, on that fake birthday email that we send out and the fake anniversary email that's automated. That's about all the touch points your salesperson's ever going to get to that customer who's going
Send
to.
them a box of cookies and forget them.
Right. So that's a 3 to 5 year turn, and the sales person is not going to touch them. But that service advisor sees that customer at a minimum twice a year, if not more, because they needed to come in for a tire or the windshield wipers or whatever it is.
Well,
And so
service advisors are not trained to sell anything. Upsell is not happening.
it isn't, because you know what? They're service writers, not service advisors. What's to talk about the
Oh,
difference, right? It's writing service or advising, because we don't give them the time to advise because they're spending more time chasing after, is this warranty going to get paid? And does this person have a warranty or not? Or finding out if I got to pick up the phone because I also have to manage the phone and the customers in front of me. And I need to go find out if the car is done and if the alignment rack is free. And I mean, think about the day-to-day job of
and
an advisor.
you're gonna be sharing all these tips at Digital Dealer Tampa in May.
Got to share the tips. We're going to take a boring subject and we're going to make it fun, because
It's not boring anymore because you just you lit me up already.
When's the last time we sent a service advisor to training? Right? They have more touch points and talking points. Now we send our F&I managers to training. We send our salespeople to training. We make them take. We spend all these resources for coaches to come in and make our salespeople, who are not the most profitable part of the dealership, get training every 3 to 6 months. We watch their numbers. When's the last time you saw a board that shows service advisors? How many ROs did they take? What's their average line item per RO? How many customers did they get in? We have them answering the phones, but how many phone calls did they take? How many appointments did they make off of those phone calls?
Wait, are you do wait. Are you doing this in real life?
I'm not doing it at this store because we've only been here 6 months. I've only been at this location for 6 months, but I want to start
You're implementing it right now? You're starting to implement it?
I want to start a service BDC right here at Volkswagen and Marion.
A service BDC. Okay, there we go.
Service BDC.
Yeah, I was separated. Nothing to do with this. Is about
nothing to do with sales.
I ran a promotion in one of the dealers I was consulting a couple of years back, where the service advisors, they were spiffed heavily on selling windshield wipers.
Okay.
Just sell windshield wipers. Let's see how many we can. Every customer theoretically needs windshield wipers. How many can you put out there?
Sure.
And just to prove to them they could sell.
When you made it a focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think about like the alignment rack, one of the most profitable jobs in the business, because it's all profit, right? There's no actual parts, it's right alignment. And you think about how many missed opportunities because one, the technician doesn't want to do it because they're lazy. Two, you got cars that are on the alignment rack that are taking up space, getting oil changes on the rack that makes the most money. And three, we think that
wait. I didn't know that. I'm service ignorant. Okay. I'm very. That's why I never became a general manager. I was a general sales manager. Never became a general manager because I didn't know or care about service. So the alignment rack is being used for oil changes. Come on now.
Think about it. An alignment can cost $100 to $150 for an alignment. And the machine does everything. You don't have a technician. I mean, there's a technician having to run it. But what I'm saying is there's no parts, right? So when you get an alignment,
forget it.
It's profit. It's pure profit. But salespeople, the service advisors don't like to sell alignments because you usually have to sell it with tires. And tires is the least profitable thing. No one wants to sell tires because there's no real markup in tires.
But every manufacturer is focusing on tires right now. You better get in the tire business.
Especially with the future of electric, right? We're going to have to pay more in touch with those batteries and with the tires because electric's going to come and customers aren't going to need to come see us all the time. So let me ask you this, though, Jim. As cars become more complicated, are customers going to have more questions about their car or less questions? Right? With electric cars.
I will.
They don't know how. Most customers don't know what a check engine light means or what the brake light means on their car when it comes on, let alone all these new lights and issues. And hey, my car was in an accident and it's an electric car. What do I do? And hey, should I tow my car? It's an electric car. Can it be towed the same? Like, think about the amount of questions that are going to come as we continue to evolve the technology of these vehicles.
You're blowing up my head right now. Just unbelievable.
Jim, who's going to answer those calls? The service advisor, while he's supposed to be paying attention to people who are in front of him, upselling, checking on warranties, making sure that status calls are happening to let customers know that their cars are ready, and giving the customer the best representation on why they should spend money in the dealership.
Who should attend your session?
Service advisors should attend. Service managers should attend. General managers, general
managers. Okay. Decision makers.
They should all attend because you need to know where you're missing money, right? If you're getting paid at the bottom line and you're a net, you get paid on the net, then you need to figure out what the best way to do. You want to decrease expenses and increase profits. That's what everybody's goal is. How do I decrease the expense and increase profits? Which is why a lot of them don't want to do a BDC because they say, Erikka, BDC is a cost center. It's going to cost me money. I'm not interested in spending more money on a BDC. But what I was able to do was to take one person, bring them in as the service BDC, and all she did in the beginning was overflow calls. She starts to take those overflow calls, right? Then we start to bring person number 2. Now she's taking inbound calls while this person's doing outbound calls. She's giving people status updates. What do people complain about in service? They haven't heard back from their advisor. What's going on with my car? When is it going to be back? These are some of the things that if you're missing opportunities at an average RO of what, 200 to 350, and you're missing appointments because your advisor is too busy to pick up the phone or he's too busy to give them the right answers, then you're missing an opportunity at $200 to $300 a pop per appointment that's not coming in your shop. How many times that happened in the course of a day?
I am absolutely flabbergasted because this interview is not going where I thought it was going to go. I'm going to be real honest with you. I see a young woman got those little puffy hair, little rabbit ears. I said, okay, you are so good. I am absolutely. You're on top of your business. You know what's going on, and you've got a subject here that most people have not heard or talked about. This is a new profit center virtually because they're not using it.
They're not using it, not to their advantage. No. I'm going to give you a hint of something I'm going to talk about that's going to cue you in. There's another industry that's hated like service. Okay, it starts with the D, right? It's the dental industry. Think about this. Where do people hate going? To the dentist. Oh. Why do we hate going to the dentist? We're afraid of how much it's going to cost. It's going to be painful, right? You're going to find things that you don't want to find. No. And it's going to take a long time when you give me the maintenance plan on all the stuff that I need done.
Dentists are the biggest upsell in the world. Of course.
But why do we go?
You can't get away from you. You go in for a tooth clean, you come out $1,200 later.
Why does it work though, Jim? Because of trust. Because let me tell you this, when you go in and he says, hey, Jim, your teeth look great. Everything's clear. Your trust. You're like, good. I made it clear. I'm good. I don't have no problem for 6 more months. He does that to you 3 times in a row where he tells you everything looks good, Jim. And then one day he comes in and says, Jim, I noticed something back there. It's not a big deal right now. But if you don't take care of it, it's going to cost you pain. It's going to cost you money. And what do? Your fear kicks in. And he shows you the x-ray and the little bit of the decay. Hey, Jim, it's not a problem now. You probably don't feel any pain. But by the time next time I see you, this thing could be a problem. Do you want to get this taken care of now and prevent it from being big? Or do you want to call me when it's an emergency and you need to get some Novocaine and some antibiotics to get the swelling down?
We need to do preventative maintenance right now.
Right. It's just like our industry. Let me help you understand. And let me show you this plan of what we're going to do. And I can't fix all your teeth in one sitting. But Jim, I'm going to do a little bit now, a little bit later, and we're going to put you on a payment plan over the next 12 to 18 months to get all this stuff taken care of because you want to make sure you have a healthy network.
I would love to work for you when I was a salesperson. I am absolutely impressed. Do you need salespeople, by the way?
I do. Come on out here to Southern Illinois.
Volkswagen of Marion, Illinois. We're talking to Erikka Tiffani Wells. Yeah, this is great. Speaking of digital dealer. Now, if you're not going to digital dealer, why should they go to digital dealer? Why? I'm going
to tell you why my favorite, outside of the workshops and the great presenters, is because it's an opportunity to network, right? I'm going to learn from some of the biggest and the brightest in the industry. I'm going to be at workshops, which means the people that come are willing to spend money to learn. Those are the people you want to learn from. Those are the people that you want to network. They took off time from their job. They paid money. They bought a flight and a hotel to be here and grow their business. So the people at Digital Dealer care about the future. So I want to network with other dealers who care about the future. What are you doing in your store? What's working? What's not working? There's no magic ball that tells us the right and wrong answers, right? But if we get experiences, and I don't have to have your pain points because you're going to tell me what didn't work at your store and what did work, then those relationships, Jim, last a lifetime. You know, you're a veteran in this business, you're a pioneer. Your relationships people can't pay for because you know who to call and when to call, and that's valuable. It's because
Eric, it's like I've been in. I have caught deals in 49 out of 50 states. I never made it to Alaska. I have worked with customers. I've caught deals. I've done F&I in 49 states. And when people paid me the big bucks to come in and consult their dealerships, not because I was so bright, but because I had seen best practices everywhere else.
Yep.
You dealers listening to this, you general managers, you live in a bubble. You might see what's going on in your own town, maybe. But that's why people join 20 groups. That's why people align themselves with people from other markets. Digital dealer is the biggest melting pot of collective ideas. I mean, the best practices that are happening in California, and you're in New York, the best practices in New York, and you're in California, or Utah, or Alabama.
Well, Jim, they don't want to come because they're making money right now. They're making money and they're fat and lazy and they haven't gotten hungry like they were before. When we started making moves is when everybody was scared at the height of the pandemic. When our dealerships were closing, when we weren't selling cars, when the inventory was gone, dealerships started to panic. And then they wanted to make all these adjustments and processes. And we're going to let people know that you can come in and we're going to be a touch-free, touchless experience. Get in the service lane without ever touching somebody. Come into our sales department, and you can buy a car touch-free. And we're going to have BDC working from home and salespeople working from home. And all of a sudden, our industry became innovative. And then we started making money. And then we started saying, you know what? Let's forget all that. Let's go back to our old ways because we're in control now. It won't stay like this.
I was picturing selling cars in a hazmat suit,
That was the next step.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful, I don't know if you know enough about me, but I nearly died of cancer, and right behind the cancer comes COVID. As soon as I was cancer free after 2 operations and a chemo overdose, I almost died. I saw the white light. I didn't walk to it, and then comes COVID, and I saw the rapid changes in the business.
Yep.
And we all did, and we all learned from it. You are an example of people that adapted, because you can adapt or die, but you can't stay where you're at.
Can't stay where you're at.
Can't stay where you're at.
Listen, you don't drown from falling in water. You drown from staying in water, right?
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Some of you dealers out there are more screwed up than a pile of coat hangers. I'm gonna tell you right now. You got to get out of it. You got to venture into new things. You got to meet new vendors. You got to, some of the technology you used in your dealerships is way outdated. I mean, I think some of you have rotary dial cell phones. I'm serious. It's crazy. But I'm always going to be. You're always going to be Tiffani to me. I mean,
from now on, I'm Tiffani.
Go with it. Anything else we need to tell people in this broadcast? I don't want to do your whole presentation, but your presentation. Let's put it up there again one more time. Profits from POs and closed ROs. So now, wait a minute, before we get off, let's dive into that a little bit. I don't want to do your whole presentation here, but so are you actually getting the physical paper ROs and the physical paper POs and looking at them? What are you doing?
We want to talk about the metrics and what's measurable, right? So our purchase orders and our repair orders, we have this data. The difference is that
we're comparing data. We're in the CRM or
right, but we're reactive. We look at the end of the month. What can you change about the previous month at the end of the month? Nothing. It's too late. Everything that you're looking at is reactive data. So it's important to us to look at the data on a daily and weekly basis. And your BDC, if you create a service BDC, helps you with that. We started noticing that there's one service advisor that would take all the appointments and another service advisor that didn't take any appointments. And so we were like, well, why is that? What was the difference between those two advisors? Well, the BDC was giving it to the advisor who would call the customers back and give status calls. This advisor wouldn't do status calls. His customers would get frustrated. He'd have terrible CSI. So because we had other people managing the phones, we could watch and see the service advisors' temperaments. What were the things that they needed to work on, right? Some of them had selling skills, but not the customer service. Other ones had customer service skills, but not the selling skills. Your service BDC got the best feedback because who's going to complain about the advisor to the advisor? Nobody wants to complain to the dentist if the dentist is the one working on your teeth, right? So you don't want to complain to the guy that's got your car. But the BDC could get someone on the phone and they could say, hey, look, that guy was rude to me. Or you know what, he never called me back. Or you know what, he didn't really tell me what was going on with my car and I felt like he rushed me through the process. So here's real-time feedback from your service BDC who can give that information to the service manager without making the advisor feel like he's in the middle of the crosshair. Because he's not going to tell the service
manager. When I was
manager,
a manager, I never wanted to make everything a disciplinary action. It was always a training experience.
It's
always a training experience.
So you need a buffer to take that data, digest it, make it simple and easy for the service manager to take a look at. We would notice that when customers go online to book their own appointments, they book it when they want to. What does the dentist office do? They make sure you book it when they want you to book it, right? They say, we're going to give you 6 months, but here's where our openings are. So if I know that I have high ticket repairs that need to be handled early in the morning so that I can get the parts, then it needs to be controlled by us, not the customer, when they come in. So then you need to be able to have organizationally a chart to say, hey, listen, my best technicians are on these days.
Yeah.
Right? My oil and lube can be on these days. But when you let the customers control everything and they're just calling in real quick while the advisor has someone in front of them and says, hey, can I come in tomorrow? Yeah, sure. Come on in tomorrow. We'll get you taken care of. Don't worry about it.
Come on in. Yeah.
Come on in. We'll just have you get here. But now what? Yeah. They're waiting. They're getting frustrated on an oil change that should have took them 20 minutes. Had they come on a different day, they could have got them in and out in 45 minutes. But now it's 2.5 hours on an oil change. And now your CSI sucks. And now the customer had a bad experience because we just told them, come on in, we'll figure it out when you get here.
You know, Eric, it's kind of funny. I'm speaking, my speech is at Digital Dealer is going to be 20 things a dealership needs to do post-pandemic. And before I ever met you, one of the 20 things is create a service BDC.
You're my guy.
One of the, that's why, and I didn't know you at the time, but it's part of my presentation, you know, to separate the BDC into two halves. So, I am totally tuned in. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Digital Dealer. I'm telling you right now, some of the top experts in the country sharing cutting edge information. You're not going to hear this at other conferences. There are other conferences that are internet focused, but guess what? They're up here 30,000 feet. They're not where your people live. I mean, we're bringing it down to real things that work with real customers in the real world. Not theory at 30,000 feet, and with the people you see on stage have done it, can do it, and will do it. That's the other thing. So I'm telling you right now, you're looking at Erikka Tiffani Wells. Tiffani. We got it. I like that. Okay. And you're speaking on May 10th at 10. Is that 10 a.m.? Yes, 10 a.m. Okay. So everybody, please come to Digital Dealer and visit with me and Erikka and network with new friends, old friends. It's incredible. I have spoken at a number of digital dealers and attended even more than that. I was the keynote speaker at Digital Dealer 2. So we go way back with Digital Dealer, and it is the best conference in the industry. Erikka, is there anything else we need to tell people before we? I'm hesitant. I'm having so much fun. I forget we're live on the air broadcasting.
The last thing I'm going to say, Jim, is that one, I'm not selling anything, right? I work in a dealership, so I have no skin in the game but to help you because I want to make the industry better for everybody. So the tips and secrets that I'm going to give are going to be because I've done it. It's not what I heard. It's not what someone told me, what I read in a book. I am in the dealership every single day making this happen. And I'll tell you one more last tip about service BDC.
Tell much as you need. Tell us everything.
One thing I'm going to tell you is that I was able to bring more people out of service BDC who became service advisors, parts counter people, worked in sales. It's an incubator. And if you already know that this is your most profitable department, Why would you not want to create an incubator to create talent so that you're not out there looking for techs, that you're not out there looking for advisors? You're cultivating them just like you're cultivating your business, you're cultivating your people, and you're creating the future leaders and superstars right out of your department, and they're going to be loyal to you because you've been paying them well, you've been taking care of them, and you've been
Pay
listening.
them well. Oh, I love that. Love it. Love it. My theory as a manager was always hire the best people and pay them too much.
There you go.
Always,
Yep.
always. The last three jobs in the car business that I left because of pay plan revisions.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I could talk to this woman forever. Show up at Digital Dealer and meet her in person. And if
Please.
you're looking for a sales position and you're anywhere in the Illinois area, this is Volkswagen of Marion. She's the sales manager. She's looking for you.
Yes, I am. And hey, you don't even have to live in the area because I'll do an interview with you via Zoom. That's the future of this business. We'll recruit you. I want the best people. And if that means I have to fly you here and pay for you to move, then we're going to bring the best people because that's what our industry deserves.
Okay, wave goodbye to him.